Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are opening up what I absolutely love to call the Defender's Playbook. You can basically think of this as your ultimate survival guide to the digital age. We're going to be diving deep into the fascinating world of information assurance and security. And this is a field that has completely evolved from being just some background IT task into a massive, absolutely crucial, strategic powerhouse for every single modern organization out there.
So let's kick things off by asking a really fundamental question. What exactly is an organization's most valuable asset? Is it the physical office buildings? The expensive network hardware? Maybe the bank accounts? Well, no. It's actually processed data. Information is literally the crown jewel of modern operations. Whether we're talking about student records at a university, financial ledgers at a massive bank, or flight manifests at an airline, information is what drives decision-making. It drives competitive advantage, and most importantly, customer trust. Because if that information is compromised, operations grind to an absolute halt.
All right, so here is our roadmap for today. First, information as an asset. Second, the CIA triad. Third, the threat landscape. Fourth, managing cyber risk. Fifth, cryptography and networks. And finally, emerging trends and zero trust. Section 1. Information as an asset. The ultimate crown jewel. People actually mix these two terms up all the time. Information assurance is really the big picture. It's this holistic approach completely focused on the trustworthiness of your data. We're talking governance, human behavior, company policies, and business continuity. Cybersecurity, on the other hand, is a really vital subset of that. It's the technical front lines protecting our digital infrastructure, like the actual computers and networks, from direct cyber attacks. And to survive in the digital age, you absolutely need both of these working together in harmony.
Moving on to Section 2, the CIA triad, the Defender's Rulebook.
Okay, so the CIA triad stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And let's ground these abstract concepts in the real world for a second. Confidentiality basically means only authorized people get access. It's like making sure only the HR department can view employee salary records, or keeping an airline's passenger manifest totally private. Then we have integrity, which ensures the data is accurate and, crucially, unaltered. Just imagine the absolute chaos if a student could secretly modify their own grades, or worse, if an aircraft's maintenance logs were messed with. Finally, availability. Look, the most secure system on Earth is totally useless if you can't actually access it when you need it, right? Think of 24/7 hospital patient systems or air traffic control communications. In those cases, downtime is simply not an option. Now, for modern security, we actually have to expand on that triad. We add authenticity, which is verifying that users are exactly who they claim to be, usually using tools like fingerprints or multi-factor authentication. We also add accountability, where we use system audit logs to trace every single action back to a specific user. And finally, there's non-repudiation. This is a big one. Let's say a purchasing manager approves a massive financial transfer using a digital signature. Well, non-repudiation ensures they cannot turn around later and deny making that approval. It provides rock-solid, legally defensible evidence of their action. Section 3. The threat landscape. Knowing the enemy.
So here is the fundamental equation you need to remember. A threat exploits a vulnerability to create an attack. It's that simple. For instance, if a cybercriminal, that's our threat, finds an employee with a weak password, our vulnerability, they can launch a credential stuffing attack to break right in. Or maybe a ransomware group exploits some unpatched software, resulting in a massive operational disruption where all the company's files get locked up. And honestly, sometimes the threat is already inside the house, like a negligent insider who clicks on a really well-crafted phishing link, leading directly to a catastrophic data breach. The big takeaway here is that attackers don't just rely on complex coding. They constantly leverage human psychology and super simple technical oversights to storm the digital castle.
Section 4. Managing cyber risk. Controlling the chaos.
Managing risk doesn't have to be a guessing game. It happens in 4 structured steps. First up, we identify our valuable assets and the specific threats targeting them. Second, we analyze the likelihood of an attack actually happening and what the potential impact would be if it did. Third, we evaluate those risk levels against our organization's risk appetite to see, what is just unacceptable. And fourth, we treat the risk. This step-by-step process is a game changer because it allows us to prioritize our highest stakes vulnerabilities instead of just blindly throwing our whole security budget at every single problem all at once.
And treating risk doesn't just mean fixing a technical flaw. We actually have some strategic options here.
Risk mitigation is what we traditionally think of, right? Reducing the likelihood or impact of an attack by installing firewalls, applying software patches, or running security training. But then there's risk transfer. This is really interesting because this is where we shift the financial consequences of a breach to a third party, usually by purchasing cyber insurance. We could also just choose to avoid a risk entirely, maybe by shutting down an old, vulnerable legacy system, or simply accept a very low-impact risk. At the end of the day, it's all about strategic, informed decision-making.
Section 5. Cryptography in Networks. The Heavy Artillery.
Now, I know cryptography might sound like a dense, super academic topic, but let's demystify it right now. It is basically the ultimate secret code. It uses complex mathematical algorithms to scramble perfectly readable text into totally unreadable ciphertext. And without cryptography, modern life simply wouldn't work. It is the invisible shield keeping your online banking secure, your cloud storage locked down, and your digital signatures legally binding. There's actually a really fascinating trade-off in how we encrypt this data. First, we have symmetric encryption. This uses one shared secret key for both locking and unlocking the data. It is blazing fast, which makes it perfect for massive amounts of data, like an entire hard drive. But safely sharing that one single key across the internet? Yeah, that's tricky. So, enter asymmetric encryption. This uses a pair of mathematically related keys. There's a public one that you share with literally everyone, and a private one you keep strictly hidden. It's incredibly secure for distributing information and verifying identities, even if it is a bit slower. In the real world, secure systems brilliantly combine the two of these to get the speed of symmetric and the rock-solid security of asymmetric encryption.
And to protect how all this encrypted data moves around, we rely on a defense-in-depth strategy for our networks. Think of it like a medieval castle. We aren't just relying on one wall. We have physical controls like actual security guards and biometric locks protecting the physical servers. We have firewalls filtering incoming and outgoing traffic. Those are our castle walls. Then we add intrusion detection and prevention systems, which act like internal guards constantly patrolling the network for anything suspicious. Finally, we use virtual private networks, or VPNs, to create secure encrypted tunnels for remote workers. So if an attacker somehow breaches the moat, they still have to fight through every single other layer just to get to the crown jewels.
Section 6. Emerging Trends and Zero Trust Architecture for the Future.
Never trust, always verify. This is the core philosophy of zero trust architecture, and it is a massive shift. In the past, if you were inside the corporate firewall, the system pretty much trusted you by default. Well, not anymore. Zero trust assumes the network is already compromised. It demands continuous authentication and authorization for every single user, device, and application, every single time they try to access a resource. And that applies whether they are sitting in the corporate headquarters or at a coffee shop halfway around the world.
And zero trust is really just one part of where we are heading. Organizations are rapidly adopting some seriously cutting-edge trends to outpace these highly sophisticated cyber attacks. We're seeing AI and machine learning being deployed to instantly detect weird behavioral anomalies that a human analyst might just miss. Multi-factor authentication has moved from being a nice-to-have option to the absolute baseline standard for identity management. Researchers are even out there developing post-quantum cryptography to defend against the supercomputers of tomorrow. And of course, with data constantly moving off-site, cloud security automation is absolutely crucial for instantly identifying and patching vulnerabilities at a massive scale.
Which leaves us with one final provocative question for you to ponder. How resilient is your own digital castle? Today, we've explored the CIA triad. We've dissected the risk equation in the threat landscape, layered up our network defenses, and really embraced that never trust, always verify mindset. Information assurance, as we've seen, is not just a one-time IT project you cross off a list. It's a continuous, dynamic process of governance, technology, and human awareness. I really hope this explainer leaves you feeling empowered to go out there, evaluate your own strategies, and fiercely protect your digital information. Keep learning, stay vigilant out there, and I will see you in the next explainer.